from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Cotton Country lobbies USDA for long-term ginning support. Wildfires rage out west and to the north. And agribusiness looking at corn markets mid-season.
Well, I think we could be looking at 450, 470 corn out here, but we might not know it for a while.
There's little reaction from U.S. trading partners over a new case of BSE in Alabama. And from the State House to a stock car, this governor finds a way to relax out on the track.
Ag Day, brought to you by the dependable, longest-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Many cotton growers are hoping an economic incentive put in place under the Obama administration will get new life in the Trump administration. A group of 135 senators and representatives from both parties sending letters to President Trump urging the administration's support for the cotton ginning share program in an ongoing basis. The USDA program helps cotton growers with their anticipated cost to gin their cotton. Former Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack initiated the program when cotton planted acres were at a 30-year low and prices were approaching 50 cents a pound. The letter says the share program will help bridge the gap until a new farm bill is adopted by Congress.
No, not in the current environment, and I think we look at, one of the things we've looked at is just where from really 2014 to today, where the market returns plus any government payments, how they compare to total cost of production. They've generally been covering the variable cost of production, but they've fallen short of a total cost of production. And unfortunately then that just means that growers have either had to reduce the equity, cut into their equity, or in many cases they've not been able to get the financing that they've needed to continue their crop. And so I think that's why we want to see an improvement in that safety net as we go forward.
Looking at condition ratings, overall 60% of cotton is in the combined good to excellent categories, down a point from last week. Texas growers seeing a 2-point drop with 49% good to excellent, but several states including Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Virginia all enjoying big improvements. Now to the west, where firefighters in 12 states are currently battling larger wildfires. The National Interagency Fire Center says as of Wednesday, those 37 fires covered nearly 500,000 acres. Near Mariposa, California, one blaze has scorched about 25,000 acres. The town of 2,000 was evacuated. California Governor Jerry Brown declaring an emergency, bolstering the state's resources to battle the fire.
You add in the fact that we're in the foothills, when you add in slopes and grades and the temperatures that we're dealing with, the humidities that we're dealing with, it's a full-on challenge.
Smoke from the fire in Mariposa County drifted more than 150 miles to Reno, Nevada. Now across the northern border, more than 375 fires have swept across British Columbia, burning forests and forcing sawmills in the heavily wooded province to shut down or evacuate. 40,000 residents were forced to leave their homes. The entire city of Williams Lake, 6 hours northeast of Vancouver, was ordered evacuated over the weekend. The community has a population of over 10,000. So far, about 1,900 square miles have burned. Federal Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale says the fires will worsen.
You will see the numbers of individual fires going down. That does not mean the problem is getting better. It means that smaller fires are merging into larger fires and becoming more intense.
The wildfires across Canada's British Columbia are threatening timber supplies, and lumber prices are surging. Market traders have taken notice. Lumber futures reaching 2-month highs Monday on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. That's according to Bloomberg News. Lumber futures for the September delivery rose by the $10 trading limit to about $387 per 1,000 board feet. That's the highest price for a most active contract since May 9th. And home builders in the U.S. may feel the heat, as the U.S. is Canada's biggest import market for softwood lumber. It's about $5 billion annually in value. Analysts say since this is the seasonal peak of construction, a reduction in wood supply will create pricing tension. Meanwhile, it's off-season for Australian firefighters, so a group of 50 are now headed to Canada to help battle wildfires there in British Columbia. They'll spend about 2 months in Canada to provide help and relief to local firefighters. Canada has helped Australia in firefighting in previous years.
Canada has helped Australia before in firefighting, and the firefighting community around the world is quite tight-knit one. So obviously if we can help in their times of need, we would like to do so, and obviously we're hoping that our firefighters will make a difference.
It's been hot and dry in many parts of the U.S. Mike Hoffman joins us now with today's crop comments. Good morning, Mike.
Thanks, Clinton. Let's start off in Hereford, Texas. This producer says he has one of 3 farms in the county which grows sunflowers. He says he doesn't usually plant the crop until the end of June, but he planted sunflowers during May this year since he didn't need the wheat. He says most of the flowers are in very good condition. The area could use a rain though, but this producer says rains during the winter are sustaining the crops right now. Gary Bahan says there's a Japanese beetle problem in central Ohio. The beetle is beating up crops in the area. According to USDA, 50% of Ohio's soybean crop is rated good to excellent though. And taking a look at the weather map, stalled out front is going to be the focus for some showers and thunderstorms across the Corn Belt. Only a few other places getting any rain. We'll have your forecast coming up, but first here are some hometown temps.
Save time each day and receive the latest market prices directly to your cell phone with market updates. It makes it effortless to stay aware of shifting market prices. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk corn markets with Mark Gold, and we'll see how Vermont's chief executive likes to let off some steam after a long day at the State House. Agribusiness equipment maker Deere & Company is building business beyond the factory floor. Its financial arm, now the 5th largest agricultural lender in the country. The company has long offered leases and loan on equipment, but more recently, it's turned to providing short-term credit for supplies, seeds, and inputs. Short-term credit accounts are up nearly 40% since the end of 2015, and as of early 2017, the bank operation of Deere Financial had handed out about $2.2 billion. Well, let's see how money moved in markets on Wednesday. For details on the close, we turn to the floor of the CME in Chicago.
Wednesday's grains, we see higher trade again, and again, I think higher but weakening trade. They look pretty solid. I think when you take a look at corn, we're kind of churning around that $4 level. December corn, I think we'll see much higher prices as we get through. I think there's other outside reasons that will drive these prices higher, but right now, you're seeing a churn. And we've had some moves above and try to spike higher and down. But in the meantime, this $4 is a key level. If we can hold here and get back above and stay, I think you get a chance to run to $4.50 or higher. So that's where we're looking for. And soybeans, the $10 level becomes a very key spot here. Wednesday's livestock, well, quite the reversal. There's been all kinds of talk over the last day and a half or so about mad cow and this cow and that cow. In the meantime, cattle sold off and is now turning and rallying again, and we're seeing higher prices. And of course, hogs, they have a mind of their own, and of course they're up once again. They fell below 80 last week. Now they've come back above and are threatening to go a little bit higher here. That's the way it looks, and that's why I see. This is Todd Horwich from BubbaTrain.com, coming from the floor of the CME Group in Chicago.
Despite that recent price action, corn market's been relatively sideways in 2017. Tyne Morgan has more in today's analysis. Tyne?
Here now with Mark Gold of Top Third. Mark, let's look at this corn market. You know, we're here right now in Illinois. Conditions are extremely variable. Do you think there's any way that we hit the yield that we saw last year?
I don't think we've got a chance of hitting last year's yields. First of all, we lost a lot of corn, in my opinion, in the spring when we got it in late in the wet conditions and one problem after another. And then we put the heat on it. And now it looks like silking's going to come right as we get the worst heat in a lot of areas. We know about the problems in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Indiana, not because of the heat in Indiana, but because of the flooding. And I don't think, we've got a number from the USDA that they just came up with that's just basically unchanged. And I certainly believe we're significantly lower than what the USDA is telling us.
So think even lower than trendline yields?
Lower than trendline yield.
And what is trendline yield at this point?
Well, that's a good question, but I think right now, I think we're well under 165.
Like in the 150s?
No. I think 162, 163 is kind of where I'm at right now.
So 162, 163, based on that, how would prices respond?
Well, I believe a lot higher.
Like how much higher?
Well, I think we could be looking at 450, 470 corn out here, but we might not know it for a while. So the market, every time somebody puts in a wet forecast, we're going to break this market. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, every wet forecast has been a buying opportunity because we follow it up with hotter and drier during the week. So on the report day, we had a break, I think mainly because of the weather. Hopefully we can rebound from that. I don't see any real changes where we need the changes. West of the Mississippi, we're getting more rain in Illinois, we're getting some more rain in Iowa, but in the western states, we have significant problems.
But we can still be taking action now?
Absolutely. You know, we're 15 cents, at one point we were 15 cents off the high in corn for the year. Okay. We're at yearly highs. This is a great marketing opportunity. Take advantage of it.
All right, Mark Gold of Top Third. Stay with us. We'll be back with more Ag Day in just a moment.
For a special report on the grain markets, call toll-free at 877-TT-HEDGE. That's 877-884-3343. Get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. Visit lovelandproducts.com/radiate. See your CPS dealer today.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Here meteorologist Mike Hoffman taking a look at the weather map. And Mike, just waiting on a little bit of rain, I guess. And that's about it. Maybe some cooler temperatures.
Yeah, some areas definitely could use the rain. We're watching some little areas of low pressure moving along a stationary front. That'll be the focus for some rain. Obviously, it'll be hit and miss along those that frontal system with those waves moving along it. But some areas could get some decent rains in a short period of time. Let's put the weather maps into motion. You'll notice there's not a lot of motion with the stationary front. It's just kind of sitting there for the most part. It'll move a little bit as each wave comes along it. Other than that, it's hit and miss and mostly miss in parts of the southeast and hit and miss in the southwest, although decent moisture for this time of the year in the Four Corner region, as you can see. Heading through the nighttime hours tonight, you can see the first little wave moving off the eastern shoreline, and the next one actually looks wetter and more potent than the one previous to it. That'll be moving through eastern Nebraska, Iowa, southern Minnesota as we head into tomorrow morning. Perhaps a complex of storms just north of that front, which could put down some heavy rain short periods of time. You'll notice everything that tries to come into the Pacific Northwest just not making it because of that big ridge sitting over the western half of the country. Heading through tomorrow, then you can see the northern front kind of stalls out as well. So then we have two stationary fronts, one across the Corn Belt, one up along the Canadian border in the northern Great Lakes. Each one of those has the chance for some showers and thunderstorms. Eventually, though, as this storm system that came in off the Pacific rides along this stationary front into the weekend and early next week, it will drag some cooler air into the northern tier of states. Let's take a look at precipitation estimates over the past 24 hours. Hit and miss in the upper Midwest, northern Mississippi Valley. Same thing in the southeast and the southwest. Adding in the next 36 hours, you can see how we do put down some decent rains in places. Looks like our model is trying to do it mainly southern Minnesota and some of the surrounding areas. That dives into the eastern Ohio Valley, also central and south Florida, ending up with a decent amount over time. High temperatures, very hot, 90s to close to 100 from Nebraska, southern Iowa, southward to the Gulf Coast. A little cooler in the northern portions of the Great Lakes in the northeast. That's been typical this summer. Lows tonight only in the 80s from Omaha to Dallas, so that is some muggy air, and we continue to see that during the day tomorrow as temperatures stay pretty much the same from day to day for now. That's all because of this big ridge over the central portions of the country. You can see little ripples in the northern part of the jet stream kind of bringing it a little farther south at times. When that happens, obviously, we do turn cooler in some of the northern tier of states. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We'll head to El Paso, Texas. First of all, mostly sunny, an afternoon shower or thunderstorm possible, high of 90. Rock Island, Illinois, hot and humid, a heavy thunderstorm in some spots, high of 93. In Springfield, Massachusetts, mix of sun and clouds, high 91.
We'll check on cattle markets, including reaction to a recent report of atypical BSE in Alabama. And how do you like to wind down after a long, hard day on the job? Well, this New England governor likes to push the pedal to the metal.
Ag Day, brought to you by Top Third Ag Marketing. Farmer first with a plan for every market.
On Drover's TV, a case of BSE in Alabama appears it will not have an impact on U.S. trade or its health status. USDA says the atypical neurological disease was found in an 11-year-old cow. The animal did not enter slaughter channels. At no time was a risk to enter the food supply. Drover says the response by America's trading partners has been muted and no trade threat is anticipated. The industry says the interlocking safeguards and BSE surveillance action again help prevent a diseased animal from entering human food supplies.
And according to USDA, this finding of an atypical case will not change the negligible risk status of the United States as designated by the World Organization for Animal Health. South Korea's Agriculture Ministry said it will strengthen quarantine measures on U.S. beef beginning Wednesday, although the country doesn't import beef from slaughterhouses or meat processors in Alabama. Japan has previously taken measures to prevent the entry of BSE from the U.S., and this case is atypical, and there's no need to take additional action, says the Deputy Director at the Agriculture Ministry's Animal Health Division. And China, trade officials have made no statement about the latest BSE discovery, and the U.S. officials don't believe it will have an impact on the reopening of the Chinese market to U.S. beef.
Cattle markets in the U.S. appeared to accept the news without any disruptions. Cattle futures trading higher following the BSE announcement from USDA. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue and his Brazilian counterpart met in Washington this week to discuss the U.S. ban of Brazilian fresh beef. The conversation concluded that Brazil needs to make progress on its own inspections before U.S. officials will set a timeline to end that ban. Back in June, the U.S. blocked shipments of fresh Brazilian beef after a high percentage of shipments didn't pass safety checks. Meanwhile, cattle industry and other ag groups joining forces to call on Congress to establish and fund a foot and mouth disease vaccine bank in the next farm bill. More than 100 groups and leaders signing the letter now sent to the Senate Ag Committee. It says the cumulative cost of an FMD outbreak would be about $128 billion over 10 years. And the latest profit tracker from USDA showing per head profits ticking higher, up to $292 on a cash price rally last week. That makes feed yards profitable for 33 consecutive weeks. Beef packers, however, seeing a decline in margins down to $172 per head based on falling cutout prices. His day job's behind the desk, but he's just as comfortable behind the wheel of his stock car in the country when we return.
In the Country, brought to you by Kubota's M5 series, bringing new levels of comfort to hard work. Learn more at Kubota.com or visit your local Kubota dealer today.
Politics can make your head spin just like a race car going round and round, so maybe it shouldn't surprise you that one governor leaves the State House for the Speedway. Michael Hill shows us how Vermont's governor pushes politics to the pedal.
Vermont Governor Phil Scott likes being in the driver's seat. The veteran politician is used to shifting gears and knows how to stay on track. For the 58-year-old governor, running Vermont is his job, but racing is his longtime passion.
Well, there's no contest. Actually, as far as the fun part, it's probably racing. It's something that's in my blood, something I've done for the last 3 or 4 decades.
Scott still finds time to race stock cars at Thunder Road. The paved quarter-mile oval is about 10 miles from the state capitol. The former state lawmaker and lieutenant governor has won 3 track championships here in almost 30 years.
Everybody almost in most of Vermont knows Phil Scott. That's not the reason he got elected, but it didn't hurt. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of thousands of people would have voted for a stock car driver, no question about it.
Scott is a Republican in a liberal-leaning state known for electing Senator Bernie Sanders. He has built up a nice guy reputation at the State House and at the Speedway. He knows if you ram into a driver's back bumper, they might return the favor. Scott says the view from the seat of power and the seat of a souped-up Chevy can be similar.
And you formulate your plan, and we do that here. You know, what tires to put on when. How much to adjust the car for whatever track condition we might find, when we're going to be on the outside, what plays out to what. So you're always planning and strategizing. It's the same in politics.
Like knowing when to go flat out and when to ease up, something he recently displayed when he compromised with lawmakers on a state budget. While voters will determine how long Scott stays in office, he has no plans to retire from racing. The governor still knows how to find the winner's circle. Michael Hill, Associated Press, Barrie, Vermont.
All right, that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. Start your day with us. For Mike Hoffman, Tyne Morgan, and all of us here at Ag Day, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.
Ag Day is powered by Ram Trucks, America's longest lasting pickups.